We have these guides and these angels always with us, like waiting for us to ask for help. How is it that we can, I guess, like remind ourselves that that's an option to like to pray, to ask for help, to ask for guidance, to ask for signs, to ask for dreams?
Right.
What's a
You
good way to keep that alive?
Well, I mean, this is very like simple and earthly, but something I did in my early days is I would just get a sticky note and put it on the side of my bed. And I
Mm.
would just say, remember to ask, or thank you, dear spirit, for dot, dot, dot. Whatever you need to do to jog your conscious mind and your memory, just ask, however that
Mhm.
is. For me, it's become just a habit. Before I even lift my head off the pillow, what I do and what I suggest to my clients to do is take 5 seconds, okay, or up to 5 to 10 minutes, and just lie there and say, Divine Spirit, God, guides, angels, departed loved ones, whatever you want to say, okay? From your heart, you don't even have to say it out loud. Just feel it and think it out and just say, I invite you into this day. Help me have a day of grace, ease, joy, flow. Show up, show me signs, bring me synchronicities, miracles. Thank you for, and then put out what you need, your intentions. That's it. It's that simple.
I love that it's simple and it's not like this elaborate thing that you have to do this dance and beat a drum and then sacrifice a chicken or whatever it is. It's like, no, you can ask for help. And there, some people are really focused on numerology and they'll say that their angel numbers show up. Some people, like you were mentioning, have really vivid dreams. And we've been in this space of exploring psychedelics and doing retreats and starting this foundation around that. And I haven't done a lot at all. Like that's more my husband's gate. I'm much more reserved, so it takes a lot for me to be able to release and surrender to those experiences. But even when I'm just doing mentoring and then I'll have dreams, it's almost like these releases happen within that space and I'll have the equivalent of the most psychedelic trip you've ever had just while I'm sleeping and I wake up and I remember everything. So it's like understanding, I think, what like tools and modalities are showing up for you in like the spirit realm.
Exactly. Spirit meets you where you're at. And so we're all at different places, what I call the yellow brick road. And there's no like better or worse. Okay. It's kind of like when you're in grades K through 12, third grade isn't worse than 10th grade. It's just the natural progression. And so, for people who are really open, like you, who are intentional, who are doing the work on a mind, body, spirit level, are going to have opportunities to have these amazing, greater experiences. Okay. And so, if somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, wow, I really want trippy dreams or visitations from my dead loved ones and dreams, you can have it. The
Mhm.
fact you're listening says that you're ready for it. Spirit is suggesting that you invite it in. And for some, it's going to be through meditation. We all find spirit in the ways that are available to us based on our level of evolution. Okay. And so for some, all of this, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be super simple. Like a lot of people say to me, I don't know how to meditate. I'm like,
Mhm.
there's no right or wrong way, and it's not a one size fits all. So for some people, it's go for a walk. Just get
Mhm.
outside, set the intention to be present. Don't, listen to your music. Maybe listen to music, probably not. Try and find stillness and just walk. And that can be a moving meditation. So
Mhm.
again, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Do you have advice for anyone who struggles with that stillness? Because I find that there's this quote, and it's if you want patience, God's not going to give you patience, but He's going to give you an opportunity to develop patience. If you want, like a brain, and you apply that like to abundance,
Right.
etc. So if you want to be in this place of self acceptance, self love, wholeness, then you're provided through opportunity. You're not just granted this thing. So oftentimes when you're presented with these opportunities where you have nothing going on for the entire month, right? All
Mhm.
your projects kind of came to a halt. There's no one celebrating, there's no activities, there's no travel. And you're like, "Man, this sucks. Nothing's happening this month." And you're like, "No, this is everything telling you to be still and to like go inward and maybe journal and maybe read and maybe just go out in nature, but there's this real resistance to just being."
Oh my gosh, I know. For me, especially, my guides always sign out when I talk to them. I do automatic writing and they download this information where I either type it on the computer or journal, and they always sign off with just be. Okay.
Mm,
And that has been such a work in progress for me. And I know for so many people I work with, because the human mind and the ego, we're wired to do. Okay. Just being is really, I think, a challenge for a lot of us because we don't equate that with being productive or successful. And honestly, it's like we have to be able to be present and still because our point of power is in the now moment. And that is just being. And that's where the magic happens because that's where we can tap into our intuition and spirit. And just being allows us to download that creative genius, our
mhm,
own higher self, our intuition, and the downloads like I just did for you and the psychic guidance, the readings. And so you said something really interesting. Like if you want patience, God doesn't just give you patience. God gives you a situation to test you in learning how to develop patience,
mhm,
right? Well, in my latest book, What's Your Heaven, I just wrote a chapter on this because we are here in Earth School and we all signed up for certain lessons we are here to learn. And one of the chapters is I am here to heal and contribute. And it's all about we have to go through sometimes situations that we would label as challenging or bad. Let's say it's a health issue. And a lot of times, what happens is we go through that lesson so that we can be a guinea pig and have street credibility saying, no, I walked the walk. And now you can go pay it forward in service to others based on learning whatever that lesson was.
mhm.
And so it takes us out of a victim mentality. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you, right? And you reframe it and you're like, oh, so I actually wanted to learn patience. And so I
Mhm,
had this very frustrating situation and I reframed it to wait, no, here's an opportunity for me to exercise patience and have compassion. And then, you either pass the test or you don't. But what Spirit has taught me is you really want to try and do the work and get it right because it will keep circling back around and around. And each time it does, it starts out as a whisper and it eventually becomes a giant roar. And that's where
yes.
those giant wake up calls happen. And we don't need to learn with pain and struggle, right? We can do it with ease and grace.
Mhm. No, I agree. I've had my own instances in my life where you have this knowing, this internal knowing, but you're like, no, I'm not going to listen to that. That's just paranoia, or that's just my self doubt, or that's whatever you chalk it up to. And then whatever it is, it gets louder and louder and louder until you cannot ignore it anymore. And then you can either decide to live with a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, or you could say, hey, maybe I'm not making the right decisions. Maybe I've veered off of my path a little bit far and I need to recalibrate.
Exactly. And every day is a chance to do it again. And,
Mhm.
as long as we don't enslave ourselves with all this, judgment, and I think we are our own worst critics and we work against ourselves a lot of times. If we can pull back, and that's that just being, get out of your mind, get out of your ego, attachments, judgments, all of that, and really just be and show up each day with it, seeing it as a gift and a new opportunity to redo or recreate, do it better. That's why we're here. We're here to grow and evolve. And we're perfectly imperfect. We're not meant to be perfect, right?
Mhm.
It's okay if we don't get it right. But the whole idea is to learn from your mistakes and try and do and be better each moment, each day.
So what's your interpretation of the ego? Like, what is the ego?
I once heard Wayne Dyer say, ego is edging God out. And that is the best way I can describe it. Ego is that part of our personality, it's the frightened part of our personality, that part of us that is separate from a divine source. So I believe we are all a spark of the divine, okay, physically focused in a human body. And we are all connected through that divine spark. And you can call it God, goddess energy. You can call it divine spirit, creator, supreme being. There's all these names, right?
Mhm.
But it's eternal love and light. That's what it is. And love doesn't die, energy doesn't die, it just changes form. So whether it's focused in a body or it's in the spirit world, that is the essence of a soul. Okay. And so the ego is the part of our personality that comes into this body. And the ego is not bad when in balance. The ego combined with the soul is exactly what we need, because our ego allows us to be individual. It allows us to have preferences. It allows us to have a personality and to accomplish what we came here to do, our unique contribution to the world. And so when the ego's in check and it's in a healthy place and connected to something bigger, your higher self and divine spirit, that's where you want to be. But the problem is when you are solely showing up each day operating from ego, edging God out, you're unplugged, disconnected. A lot of times, our tendency is we choose to make choices from the frequency of shadow. Okay. So we either make choices from shadow or from light. And light
Mhm.
is when we are plugged into what I was just saying, this higher, our higher selves, the divine spark and divine spirit. Shadow is the ego. That's the wounded part of ourselves that we are here to heal. Okay. And so when we are alone and trying to figure out life and do life solely through our ego, we're limited. But when
Mhm.
we plug into our higher selves, we have what I call it's team spirit available. It's a co-creative dance. And life becomes magical because spirit can see 5 steps ahead,
Mhm.
right? And can divine intervention. That's why I was
Mhm.
saying invite in divine guidance. Start your day by saying humbly, like, yes, I choose to show up in my body with an ego, but as a co-creative effort with divine spirit, with my team in spirit. That's a powerful place to be.